Welcome into the house. Welcome back to the channel. I want to get right into this past 2 weeks that have been quite a 2 weeks, from the food shortage to what's going on abroad, to Mother's Day, and even to the passing of Kevin Samuels. It's been 7 days since we heard that news, and there are 3 glaring, rather loud messages that, as loud as these messages are, as I suspected, many people have overlooked. Let's get into this. On that first Thursday, when the internet first got the word that Kevin Samuels had passed, there were posts stating that Kevin Samuels, is he dead or alive? Twitter followers cackling. You heard that kind of chaos, which at this point I have no words for. Then you had the people who were followers and fans of Kevin Samuels and how they were reacting, how they would react, their shock. Then you had the people who were non-fans of Kevin, who obviously would have their non-feelings about it. There was a lot going on. Then you had non-confirmation about whether he was even transitioned or not. You had a sketchy police report. You had drip information. You didn't even know who the man was with when he passed away. And so that Thursday and Friday, it was a lot going on. And the first very loud instinct that I kept getting was to observe. I got that strongly. Just hold on, just observe, see what's going on. Sometimes when something like this happens, right, it's out of the blue, which it was completely out of the blue. I mean, the man was doing a live the night before, and most people are saying he looked perfectly healthy. This came out of the blue. So I had the strongest inclination not only to observe, but to spread the message that if you are like me and you don't know what's going on and you're having heightened emotions, it is okay to decide to sit back and observe, regardless of what the internet is doing, regardless of what emotions might be flying, good or bad. You can have whatever emotions you choose. Let's be clear. This is not an advocating for fans of Kevin Samuels or an advocating for non-fans. Okay? This is straight down the middle, common sense. Something like this happens. It's okay to observe. It's okay to observe, okay? Because the universe uses timing a lot. The Most High is big on timing. Everything in the universe is about timing and numbers and when things happen. And usually if you're quick to jump to a reaction, good or bad reaction, oftentimes you miss something. And like I suspected, there are a few things that quite a few people missed regarding this passing of Kevin Samuels, the time that he passed, everything surrounding it. There's quite a few things that people missed. Let's go. A lot of people assumed, especially some people who called into Kevin, called into that show. A lot of people assumed, as I can see clearly, that Kevin Samuels was in a steady relationship. They assumed because he was doing relationship coaching and saying the things that he said, right, that he not only was in a steady relationship, but that he had been in a long-term one ever in his life, or, he must have had like good experiences to say what it is that he's saying. Now, disclaimer, listen to me carefully. I'm not on here to tear into or shade anyone. This is not about that. I don't do that here. I don't care what you do on your channel. Good luck and all the best to you. Over here, I'm not going to need to do that, because what I'm going to say is always going to be simple and I'm always going to back it up. Okay? A lot of people assumed that Kevin was in a steady relationship, at least, right? He's speaking about or saying that he's helping people get together. The people who say that they were helped by him, and guess what? They might have been. On whatever level, in whatever way that they got their help, right? There were people obviously who were eating everything he did up. Now, there's a lot of reasons for that, and I have a whole separate segment of the obvious buzzwords and things that happened and things that attracted us to that channel, right? Keep in mind, I'm saying all this and I was not a subscriber. I might have watched 3 videos tops of his, And especially in the space that I'm in, it's beneficial to watch any and everybody who's dealing with relationships and talking to people. And so there was a lot of, multiple reasons why you're going to go and watch that channel. Never called, never subscribed. And again, he made valid points, but I'm going to get into what it is that we found out. He was not in a steady relationship. Okay. That's huge. I'm not saying he had to be married himself, but he wasn't. He was a single guy. And being found, which I don't care personally, but being found on a Thursday night, the Thursday before Mother's Day, we'll get into that, spending your time with your night nurse. And I've got to say it that way because they haven't confirmed the type of relationship they have. I don't personally care. It was night. She was a nurse. She was a night nurse. I have nothing more to say about that, but the point is, judging by the 911 call that was released, the woman didn't even remember the apartment number to tell the ambulance. Okay, if I'm at my boyfriend's house or my husband or whoever or somebody I care about, I know their apartment number. Hell, I even know the apartment number of a guy who I don't know that well, right? Because I know in the back of my mind, if something happens for my own safety, I'm going to want to know where I am. You can ask a friend of mine, who I just spoke to after years of not speaking to him. He remembers every detail of when he and I met. And he remembers that I literally took a photograph of his license plate before I got into his car. Yeah, I'm extra. I took a picture of the license plate and I just looked at his ID real quick. Because that was the first time of me getting into his car. I didn't know him more than a day. I did need a lift home, but I was like, I'm gonna have to see that ID, and I took a picture of his license plate. I went that far. I don't play games. I was in the middle of Atlanta myself. He laughed at it. He thought it was kind of, funny, but I did it. I covered my bases. I know that we live in America. I was born in Brooklyn, New York. I cover my bases. All that being said, the woman did not even know what apartment number she was in. How close could she have been to Mr. Kevin Samuels? No judgment, but I'm laying down facts. So he's with a woman he was obviously not that close to and chose to be with her on the Thursday before Mother's Day. That is hugely significant. Let me show you why.
So here you are, as an expert, quote unquote, at the height of your non-committal lifestyle, okay, at the height of it, about to go on camera, okay, and you have a woman in the apartment. I'm referring to this clip right here, which I linked below. You have a woman in your apartment, right, who's about to dare interrupt you as you go live. Okay, and while you are on camera, you're letting her know straight up, you need to go find what you're finding and get out of here. He says it. Go back and watch this clip, one of his last videos before passing. There was a woman in the apartment about to interrupt his live flow, interrupt his shine, and he basically karate chopped her. Okay, he quickly needed to get rid of her. Now they're saying, right, through process of elimination, that this is the same woman that he was with last. That's a common sense, they're doing some math and saying it had to be her. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but the point is, you're at the height of your non-committal lifestyle, okay? Disregarding whoever's in your presence, just to go live and speak to more women. Okay, make no mistake, Kevin Samuels' market, his target market was women and women with children. Those were the people paying him. Okay, 90% of the people calling in, maybe more than 90%, were women and mothers. We saw it in Average at Best. We saw it in tons of other videos. They were his bread and butter. And so what I would do if something was my money maker, since we're so stuck on, hell-bent on, chasing our bag. If this target market of women and women with children were my bread and butter, I would be particularly, if for no other reason, particularly careful about what it is I allow them to leave here with when I'm done consulting them. Now, it is my firm belief, because I did some homework this week and I watched tons of Kevin Samuel videos over and over and over, because I said, if I'm going to come on here and speak, let me have done a little homework, watch some of the older videos so I could be fair and put, add to the conversation. And I'm going to tell you, I looked at some of the older videos versus the videos now, like the recent ones, and it was obvious that something had drastically changed in the way he was dealing with clients that would call in, and his intention his overall intention. Stay with me.
I was watching a clip from Nyla J Vibes. Shout out to her and her channel. And there was this caller who called in, right? And he had said that he actually overheard a conversation that Kevin and Samuels were having with some other content creators, right? About the fact that they were going to go viral, right? If only they would just start speaking to women with children, single women with children, and start shading them, right? This gentleman said he overheard that conversation. I don't know if he knew Kevin Samuels from Atlanta. A lot of people know each other in the Atlanta area, or whether he overheard it, in person, in a video. But he said he overheard the day that Kevin was talking to some other folks. And they decided, this was calculated. This wasn't like random, let's see what happens to see if we go viral. They discussed the fact that they would easily go viral if they started shading women with children, okay, who were looking for mates, okay, namely women of that demographic, right there in Atlanta, okay, we all know the demographic. This was a conversation that someone said they overheard. Average at Best was intentional. It wasn't like just some random thing that happened. Mind you that I'm going to be very fair, however. Okay, Average at Best wasn't the worst, most disrespectful video he ever did. They were worse videos. I watched a lot of them. And I saw Average at Best from the beginning to the end. And actually, he wasn't at the height, okay, of shading anyone in that video. He said what he said. He could have said it better. But I watched from the beginning, and the woman did call in on like the incorrect day for some advice when it wasn't really a day to do that. And even though she was polite as ever, she was sweet and polite, very polite, he still went in and said what he said. But I looked at lots of videos, and actually that wasn't the worst one. It was more recent videos, even more recent than that this change, this new intention started to become more and more clear. There were things that he said that I heard being said that, wow, most people wouldn't dare dream of saying, like in a woman's presence. They just wouldn't say it, because you can say lots of things, you can make a point, but there's 6 million ways to make a point. But Kevin knew, let's be honest, that it would go viral if he spoke to these sisters a certain way. Let's be honest. You know what was going viral around that time. We were in the middle of a pandemic when Average at Best happened. And anything raunchy that had shade in it, that had pets or animals or kids in it, anything of that nature, right, had a great chance to go viral. And any time that you would call a pandemic or where people are on the computer more, okay? And around that time, stay with me, if you remember, there was a new trend of videos left and right, shading sisters. I'm talking celebrities were coming online, okay, running their mouth about women's hair, just randomly. Comedians were coming online, just making random comments, starting almost like this war, this intentional war, right? Between brothers and sisters, men and women. Stay with me. Okay, it was obvious. I was watching a clip from Nyla J Vibes. Shout out to her and her channel. And there was this caller who called in, right? And he had said that he actually overheard a conversation that Kevin and Samuels were having with some other content creators, right? About the fact that they were gonna go viral, right? If only they would just start speaking to women with children, single women with children, and start shading them. right? This gentleman said he overheard that conversation. I don't know if he knew Kevin Samuels from Atlanta. A lot of people know each other in the Atlanta area, or whether he overheard it, in person, in a video. But he said he overheard the day that Kevin was talking to some other folks. And they decided, this was calculated. This wasn't like random, let's see what happens to see if we go viral. They discussed the fact that they would easily go viral if they started shading women with children, okay, who were looking for mates, okay, namely women of that demographic, right there in Atlanta, okay, we all know the demographic. This was a conversation that someone said they overheard. Average at Best was intentional. It wasn't like just some random thing that happened. Mind you that I'm going to be very fair, however. Okay, Average at Best wasn't the worst, most disrespectful video he ever did. There were worse videos. I watched a lot of them. And I saw Average at Best from the beginning to the end. And actually, he wasn't at the height, okay, of shading anyone in that video. He said what he said. He could have said it better. But I watched from the beginning, and the woman did call in on like the incorrect day for some advice when it wasn't really a day to do that. And even though she was polite as ever, she was sweet and polite, very polite, he still went in and said what he said. But I looked at lots of videos, and actually that wasn't the worst one. It was more recent videos, even more recent than that this change, this new intention started to become more and more clear. There were things that he said that I heard being said that, wow, most people wouldn't dare dream of saying, like in a woman's presence. They just wouldn't say it, because you can say lots of things, you can make a point, but there's 6 million ways to make a point. But Kevin knew, let's be honest, that it would go viral if he spoke to these sisters a certain way. Let's be honest. You know what was going viral around that time. We were in the middle of a pandemic when Average at Best happened. And anything raunchy, that had shade in it, that had pets or animals or kids in it. I mean, anything of that nature, right, had a great chance to go viral. And any time that you would call a pandemic or where people are on the computer more, okay? And around that time, stay with me, if you remember, there was a new trend of videos left and right, shading sisters. I'm talking celebrities were coming online, okay, running their mouth about women's hair, just randomly. Comedians were coming online, just making random comments, starting almost like this war, this intentional war, right? Between brothers and sisters, men and women. Stay with me. Okay, it was obvious. So he saw an opportunity and he took it. Let's keep it 100. He saw an opening, he saw what would go viral, he went for it. And on a strictly business level, right? It's a pretty smart move. Just that one Average at Best video, right? Because it went viral, other videos went viral, right? 1, 2, 3. But as Dave Chappelle told us, and a few others have said, when you enter the realm when you're about to get famous or well-known, right? There's 2 things you gotta have, okay? One, you gotta know your principles, okay? You gotta stand on something that no matter how much money they throw at you, no matter how much fame is at stake, you're not gonna go beyond a certain boundary because you have your principles. The second thing he said was you better have your exit strategy, because people are gonna offer you things, okay? You're gonna have options to go down this road and that road and do this and do that, all kinds of stuff that you would never normally do, right? What would you do? How far would you go for this notoriety, for this fame, for this status? And it seems to me, just as an observer, this is regardless of whether I'm a fan or not, just as an observer, there was no real boundary, because after Average at Best, which he could have tapered off and remained well known, he went even deeper and started saying even crazier things to women. I think there was a video where, okay, the die alone video, he said something about, oh my gosh, if you keep doing this, you'll die alone, da-da-da-da-da. Okay, he said that once, right? It was a little crude, right? It was a little this, little that. Okay, let's say we let it go again. Then he does yet another video shortly thereafter, And I need to post these videos because I want you guys to actually see this. Well, not only did he tell a woman that might happen, okay, emphasis on might, because there's a lot of possibilities for a woman when she doesn't follow your advice. You're not a psychic, okay? And it's really not your place to tell someone where they're gonna die. With people, alone, that's not on you. But I digress. Then he said in a short video, well, why don't you go and buy a dog, die alone, since you don't want to hear what I have to say, and da-da-da-da-da. It was a short video, right? I didn't even click on that to watch the entire thing. He put it in a short. I said, that is some shit. Could you imagine going to the doctor, right, who's trying to get you to adjust your diet, which they rarely do, but let's say there's a doctor who's actually addressing diet, and he says something like, you know what, I'm tired of telling you about these potato chips. Why don't you just go get a bag of potato chips, keel over and die in your room, and stop coming to my office, right? Doctors are not even allowed to be that way because they literally sign things. Now, mind you, the medical industry, I'm not going to talk about that at all. But there is some code somewhere where there's certain things they can't actually say. Some good things, some not so good things. Like you can't just, especially if you're receiving money from clients and they're coming to you for help. Okay, there's 6 million ways, right, to consult, to communicate. And nobody's talking about being fake or sugarcoating or what have you. But to say you need to avoid these potato chips, okay, to keep yourself healthy so you have better chances of living longer, and telling someone to go and just buy 1,000 bags of potato chips, okay, and go keel over somewhere. Those are two different things that you're saying. Okay, in one instance, you're helping them. In another instance, you're like, you're gonna follow my advice or go fuck off. Pardon my French. Two different energies, two different intentions, two different levels of professionalism. Okay. Emphasis on professionalism. Now, listen to me. People were paying Kevin. This wasn't just like a YouTube channel. These were clients. And you chose, out of all the many different things you could have said, to go and tell someone to go buy a dog and die alone? I think I almost fell out of my chair when I heard that. Or dropped a pen off my desk. Something happened. Because I was so shocked. I'm like, you went from average at best to you may, end up being alone when you die, to why don't you just go, fast forward, go ahead and buy your dog now and go keel over? Guys, hold up, wait a minute. Okay, just stop for a moment. Stop for a moment, drop the sex wars, drop the manosphere, drop the femisphere. Let's talk. You put out continuously, not just once, continuously, that the world doesn't actually need women, that we really only exist to complement and assist men. He said that too. But you put out that energy, that the world doesn't actually need women. And so if you go by his own very words, his own very energy, right, and try to keep suggesting with your professional opinion that you're not needed, women, the world doesn't need women, right? Somehow, I don't know how, what kind of math you're doing to come up with that respectfully, but using your own energy, if we were to lean into this dream, which no worries, I got you on the dream, and lean into what you're saying, Mr. Samuels. If you eliminate women, you eliminate yourself. Point blank, period. You can say, and with you could have 10 million followers. I don't care how many people vote for you or how many followers you have. If you're trying to promote this idea that women are not needed, if we even entertain your own words, you eliminate women, you eliminate yourself, which is what ended up happening. I don't think this was a punishment. I don't think this was God striking him down, right? Or anything like that. I think he created a vibe. He created an energy that circled right back and wiped himself out. Kevin wiped himself out. This wasn't punishment. He created this energy. I did a lot of homework. I was watching lots of videos, and I could tell you, in all fairness, he started off with a very good intention, and he was gifted. He was able to rally people, get followers, right? He wasn't all bad. No one is all bad, but he clearly made the wrong turn, and he made a wrong decision, and he started using his talents to disempower a very important population. And just to make sure, this is just my professional opinion as far as energy and healing and spirit and intentions, just to make sure that the message was clear, he checks out on Mother's Day weekend. And if we could give the universe a voice, I feel like they'd be saying, well, if we don't need women, then you don't exist. Put a period at the end of that sentence. This is not us doing this. This is not, depending on who liked him or didn't like him. He put out an energy that circled back to find him. End of story.